ensure you get yourself put on a list. So click the links to join the channel here or over on Subscribestar. So what do you do when the FBI and the various other groups are running Twitter and the rest of the social media? Well, the Constitution and First Amendment are meaningless without the people who want to make it possible. There's no getting around that fact. Not everyone wants to maintain civilization of this caliber, as people are learning. It's what's a quote? It's for first-class moral people. A corrupt FBI is a late-stage indicator. I think it means that the country is already over by decades. A country is its people, and America is just about over. When a government is spying on its own people, it's time for a new government. When a government feels that it needs to spy on its own people, then the society probably needs to break down into different areas for people who want to live according to different standards. A 50-state model, yeah, we already have that, but with borders for residency, because clearly this mixing of different societies is just absolute abject failure. If the left wing wants to build the Chaz equivalent at the state level, it would be easier to just split regions down the middle and have a far right area in some areas and a far left area in other areas. Go back to a 50-state model, not a Fed model. See which one works better. When the FBI, CIA, and Homeland Security don't follow the Constitution, you start canceling the organizations and you form something new if they're needed. To realize that you live in a society where the government is directly telling these social media platforms to censor people and stories, to live in a society the Founding Fathers warned us about, obviously not in so many words, but you get the idea, a government telling a publisher to censor stories or people to craft a narrative is insane. I think there was an amendment written for that. Yes, every conspiracy theory about Twitter is turning out to be true, and many conspiracy theories about other things recently have also turned out to be true. Even when the media was like changing the story across media platforms to the point where they would contradict each other, and if you mentioned that, you would just get a strike or kicked off YouTube. And keep this in mind, it's not just Twitter, obviously. It's safe to assume that it's all the major social media companies. The small ones probably tell them to go, pee on a rope. That the deep state was actually controlling the narrative across Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the various other ones. And it's funny because some of the comments in here and some of the people who are working on Twitter were more concerned about the constitutional implications than the FBI and CIA, who was requesting that they censor information. And some of the Twitter employees are talking back and forth about, yeah, what about that First Amendment, though? Doesn't anyone think it's weird that the government is telling us to censor? It's like, yeah, the government can't censor you, but they also can't use it, without due process. They also can't use an agent to act as their proxy. So what about the First Amendment? Fuck it. The Constitution is only a piece of paper without a just and moral people to make up the nation. A nation secretly ruled by a globalist derp state is a nation that needs to wash out its government and split into smaller regions where people may live as they wish. California and many blue cities really do flat out seem to enjoy a high crime, low trust society. That is their values. If you want to know what's up, go on YouTube, follow the media outlets at the city level, not at the national level. Follow like 100 media outlets. Just enter in cities and the media stuff, CNN and MSNBC, not CNN, like the local ABC, CBS, Fox, that kind of stuff, and follow 100 of those, and you'll know what's going on in the country at the city level. The national level is the narrative that CNN and MSNBC are pushing out, but the smaller level is telling you what's actually going on in the cities. And it really does appear that California and parts of Oregon and Washington and blue cities, they really flat out legitimately do value a low trust society to reduce the rate of prosecution for larceny to under $950, where people are looting stores and just selling them at swap meets or selling the stuff out literally outside a sidewalk, and then eventually the stores go under or they raise the prices and pass it along to other people. I mean, that's a devolving society from what was a stable to a metastable to an unstable society to one that's like in the midst of a third world collapse. But you got people in these cities and you look at them, you're like, you literally voted for this. Like, you guys were voting to push this defund the police and have like violence interrupters and social workers and mental health care. And like, you vote for this stuff over and over again. There's the Scott Wiener, the Anthony Weiner guy in San Francisco who pushed he passed some laws that I can't even really mention on YouTube. Just the most horrific Sodom Weimar level situation, and you look at this like, but you people are voting for all this stuff in California. It's like there is a fundamental schism between people who apparently seem to enjoy their Teslas being broken into every 2 months. As Seth Rogen was telling people, he got really triggered when someone was talking about his crime in LA or something. Because it's like to talk about crime. If you're on the left, people on the left are not really going to come out against crime, or else guys like Seth Rogen will come down, jump down your throat. Because when you do, like, crime's it's a left-wing thing, and they get real defensive. Like, even that guy who was this happened like a year ago, 2 years ago. That guy was talking about his car getting broken into, and people got really defensive in the Twitter comments about telling him about his privilege. And you're looking at this like, yeah, there's no path forward for people who are like such living on different planets with people. You can't have a society like that. It's like, it has this appearance, this thin veneer of a metastable situation where you still have nice cars and roads and all this kind of stuff, and you're not living in a police state yet, but it's just about to hit this tipping point where people are going to realize a lot of things. Anyway, so they legitimately do appear to enjoy high crime, low trust society. And you can't have them ruin those areas and then move to high trust red areas, and then they turn those areas into S-holes also. You need to enforce borders, and you might as well return the power to the states. The Fed has gotten way, way too powerful over the past 200 years. It's better to fix the nation now and just admit that it's failed. There's no reason for it to devolve into a civil war. So it turns out that the FBI was telling Twitter, and I assume obviously all the other social media sites, Google and the Meta, Facebook stuff, and whatever else there is, Reddit, and I don't know, to censor information on Hunter Biden's laptop, to censor individuals, some issues that dealt with international politics, and to censor some things dealing with the Wu flu, including censoring some things that the health guy was talking about and the Center for Disease Control were saying, which is all very tricky because on Twitter you can discuss the Wu flu all you want, including the treatment for it, which I didn't, of course, get because I'll say I just didn't get it. I'm not going to get it. But on YouTube, you can't discuss the Wu flu or they will delete your video and give you a strike because Google owns YouTube and they are lizard people. So when I look at all this crap to look how far gone America is, I realize it's too late to fix it within the system. It's more like 50 years too late to fix it. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm not, and I'm not. But to fix this, some people, like, they want to have faith in the media and the government and the FBI. And it's just people whistling past the graveyard because they don't want to hit that tipping point of going, oh, it's all crap. And then we need to do something. Needs to do something about this. Yeah, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror, soccer mom, and dad. It's look in the mirror. That's the only. It's grassroots or it's nothing. There's no top down external messiah when you have them all. DeSantis and Trump, even Rand Paul. Maybe less Rand Paul, but DeSantis and Trump. Those guys are very much on the same page. There's a lot of folks who are going to need an awakening, but they're just not ready for it. They love, it's well-fed men are not going to throw a revolution. People love the soy slop, the corn syrup, the prawn, and the video games. People love that sports ball, which strikes me as weird because both players and the owners hate the fans. To be a fan of sports ball, is it Jared Kushner? Don't say anything in the comments. To be a fan of sports ball now probably means that you're literally touched in the head. The FBI just put a mentally ill homeless man in prison for 16 years for the FBI planned Governor Whitmore kidnapping. Radix Verdun, I think, is on Odyssey and YouTube. She's covering this, and on Telegram too. She's covering this issue. It was a plot that the FBI planned and set up, and they found a mentally ill homeless man to be a fall guy for. It's like that's the best that the FBI can come up with. I mean, you look at the guy and you see the picture of him and you go, oh, this guy looks like he's got issues. Yeah, he is mentally ill homeless man. So, like, how much money did you guys put into this plot, this thing you set up to put this guy in prison for 16 years? We invested $6 million of FBI resources to put a mentally ill homeless man in prison for 16 years. Okay. I mean, isn't there something else? Like, aren't there other issues in America that you could like focus on? Because you got a mentally ill guy who happened to be, blonde man bad, but like there's entire cities in America where there's a deletion of 1 to 3 people per day. Oh, well, the FBI doesn't worry about those kind of things. Yeah, maybe you should. Maybe it needs a reassessment. If you're putting millions of dollars into getting one mentally ill homeless guy off the streets, thank God you gave him a place to live for 16 years. And then when he comes out after 16 years, he just goes back to the streets. I mean, or goes back to an institution instead of just giving him mental health care. I mean, aren't there other priorities on the FBI's watch list? We can do both things, bigot. Yeah, but you don't do both things. You do this kind of stuff, or it's the same left wing that said defund the police or cheering on the FBI who are going after J6 or anyone else the FBI sets up. We're speaking truth to power, rage against the machine. Yeah, what happened to the left wing? Rage against the machine. You got a bunch of mostly peaceful protesters who go and literally speak truth to power. A bunch of, boomers. But you were suddenly working with the corrupt FBI to get them arrested and in prison. It's like, that's the left wing now. If you're on the moderate left wing, and like, I know you're aware of what's going on. You look at this like, wait, is this the left wing now? We're working with the FBI? Yeah, that's the left wing now. Anyway, so the FBI is corrupt unless it's going after right-wing people, but the left wing is cheering for a corrupt government because they know that they own the government and the media. They will gladly cheer themselves into gulags and starvations because it's happened in a dozen countries over the past 120 odd years before. It's like, oh, it's all happening all over again. Dear God, stop this ride. No, you can check out, but you can never leave. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next episode.